Over the last 5 years, I've spent close to $300,000 on Facebook ads for real estate. Back in 2021, I hired a marketing agency to run my Facebook ads, and I was paying them about $2,000 a month, not including ad spend. About 8 months in and $70,000 later, I decided to take a look at what was going on with my campaigns, and I saw my cost per lead creep up to about $80 per lead. My frequency shot up to around 8, which means the same people were seeing my ads 8 times while ignoring them. Nobody told me, and nobody fixed it. And that was just one of the mistakes that I'd made. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 mistakes that have collectively cost me most of my $300,000 in that time. And I'm also going to share with you what exactly I do right now with my Facebook ads for real estate. Now, quick context before I move on into who I am and why you should trust anything I have to say about Facebook ads. My name is Sid Sir. I run a team here in Toronto called Team Sir Real Estate. We've been running the team since 2019, and we've now been Royal LePage Top 1% Chairman's Club since the last 3 years, which puts us at the top 1% of agents across the country. And over the last 5 years, I've spent close to $300,000 testing on Facebook ads, running campaigns, generating leads for our own team, not for anybody else, spending real money, getting real leads, made a ton of expensive mistakes, and eventually built a system that now consistently generates leads from anywhere from $4 to $6 per lead. Now, I'm not a Facebook ads guru, I'm not a marketing agency, I'm just a real estate agent who's figured this out and learned everything the hard way. That's why I believe what I share in this video would be useful to you guys, because I learned it in the real world with real money, operating in markets probably similar to what you're operating in. Okay, so with that said, let's get into the 5 mistakes. Mistake number 1 is boosting posts. Now, this is the mistake that I probably see the most that agents make. And if you're watching this, you've either been boosting posts yourself or you're still doing it now. Now, I'll be honest, I was boosting posts a lot as well back in 3-4 years ago. You know, you see that blue button and you get all excited. You just put out a listing and it's posted on social media, and the urge to click that boost post is so high. And I did that for about 8 months when I first started running Facebook ads. And I thought, I'll put $20 to $30 a day, get a bunch of reach, but all it did was get me no results. See, here's exactly what's happening when you boost a post. When you boost a post, all you're paying for is just more reach and visibility to people who probably didn't even ask for it. In a span of about 3 months, I'd spent close to $1,000 on boosting posts, which pretty much got me 0 leads and no conversions at all. You feel like you're running ads, but you're really not. All you're doing is just showing your just listed, just sold, or lifestyle video to people who are probably not looking for homes. You have no way of putting a lead form. You have no way of A/B testing. You have no way to set a conversion objective. All you're doing is just draining money and giving it all to Facebook for nothing. So if you're boosting posts and wondering why Facebook ads aren't working for you, then that's your mistake. Stop boosting posts and start campaigning instead. Mistake number 2 is sending traffic to your website and not using instant lead forms. See, after I graduated from boosting posts over that course of 8 months, I decided to start running ads and driving traffic to my website. And this was at the suggestion of the agency that I'd hired at the time, who'd said, sending leads to your website will result in a higher lead quality, which they're not entirely wrong. However, one of the big obstacles with sending people to your website is that you are increasing the friction by a lot. Here's what I mean by that. When a person first looks at your ad and they click on that button, you're doing a few things that Meta doesn't like. Number 1, you're sending the person outside of Instagram into a landing page that doesn't belong to Meta. So Meta's working harder to find these people that they don't want to send away from their platform to begin with. The second thing you're doing wrong is when you're sending people to your website, it takes time to load. People have to look for the form. They have to manually enter their information. Now, you could also argue that that would create a higher intent lead and higher quality lead at a much higher cost per lead. However, there's alternatives you can use to capture that same type of lead. And the other reason why website traffic from Instagram and Facebook ads is not advisable, because let's be honest, real estate websites are not that fantastic. And this is probably going to hurt some people's feelings, but your website is nothing special. Pixel. Majority of real estate agents have cookie cutter websites that they buy on a subscription basis. They're not that great. Buyers don't really care about going to your website. They have everything they need in 2026 at their disposal, and they can get that information on their own. And even if you've spent tens of thousands of dollars developing your own website, it's still not that special because you're never going to beat the likes of Realtor.ca, Realtor.com, Zillow, House Sigma, and all these other great platforms that spend millions developing their website. Not to mention that if you do have a cookie cutter website, your website or that landing page you're sending these leads to is probably not highly optimized for conversion to begin with. And most importantly, and this is the part that really frustrates me about real estate agents sending leads to their website, is that we're selling real estate. We're not selling, we're not a Shopify account where we're selling products or a service that's a monthly subscription that people will add to cart and then check out right away. They're buying a house. So really, website conversion traffic is good for services that are selling a monthly service, a SaaS platform, or products, not for real estate. For real estate, you want to capture the lead with Facebook Instant Forms. And one of the ways you can get around that lead quality dilemma that a lot of people say they experience with Instant Forms, because the friction at Instant Form is the opposite, is extremely low, right? So it's a click, and it's an autofill, and so the intent is a lot lower. However, you can counter that by adding a couple of questions in there, like what is your timeline to purchase, or what's your ideal neighborhood or property type, and you can either have them fill that out, or you can make it a little bit easier by adding some drop-down options that they can select. So there's an extra level of thinking, a little bit higher friction, and most importantly, a little bit more intent than just autofilling and auto-submitting. And Facebook's Instant Forms are also obviously native to Meta. So this system is highly optimized for conversion and for converting these leads. Meta knows exactly who is most likely to convert from these ads that they're showing to people, because they have the data in-house to know exactly who's going to click and who's going to submit. Now, there are other ways that you can optimize your leads for conversion, like Conversions API and Pixel, topics that I'm not going to cover in this video because they're an entire video and topic on their own. But long story short, start using Instant Forms, because that is the single highest lever that you can pull when it comes to running Facebook ads to get quality leads. The last thing I want to mention actually before we move on from lead forms is that if you do want to drive traffic to your website or to a landing page, then you can still do that with Instant Form. And the trick is to have that website as the thank you page on that lead form, so that as soon as a lead is done filling out the form, you can have them click on your website and it'll drive traffic there, which then you can do whatever it is you want to do. You can send them to a landing page, you can send them to a thank you page, you can have the pixel on that page so you can start tracking their activity, if that is your goal. Mistake number 3 is focusing on the audience and not the creative. With Facebook ads for real estate, we are restricted to fall into the special ads category, specifically the housing category, which limits our ability to target by interest level, by age, by demographic, by income level. So because we're restricted by that, there's really not much you can do when it comes to interest. But I still see real estate agents trying to target people by putting interests in there, like, shopping or home ownership and things of that nature. But the reality is that there are way better things you can do when you're running real estate Facebook ads than try to narrow down on the audience. Your number one, probably the single most important piece of your ads is going to be your ad creative and your ad copy, which most people ignore. I see people who start posting their just listed and just sold as their property ads, which in my opinion is not going to really result in good lead quality, because a lot of these people are probably just looking out of curiosity. One of the mistakes I see a lot of agents do is put their just listed and just sold or property tour video as the ad, and they think that that's going to convert good quality leads, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The best way to target these quality leads is through your ad creative, but you have to be very specific about what it is that you're showing in these ads. Is it optimized for conversion? Are you putting some kind of offer in exchange for their contact information? What is special about that property, or that ad rather, that's going to cause the lead to exchange that value of information? You're giving them something in exchange for that contact information. So what is that offer, if you will, right? And that offer oftentimes is in the ad creative itself and also in the ad copy. copy. And Meta's algorithm is $1 billion algorithm. It knows exactly who to find based on that creative alone. So you don't need to rely on the audience or the interests or the demographics in order to attract the right person. One of the things that I do in my ad creatives is I specifically mention either the property type, and I get very specific about what kind of property type I'm actually showcasing, and I have that as a call out on, as an overlay on the creative, and I'll have a clear call to action on what they're going to get, and then my ad copy is also going to expand on that creative and exactly what it is that they're going to be getting. There's a whole science behind the copy as well. This is why copywriters are paid a lot of money. Copywriters get paid a lot of money with newspapers, but it's the same core principle of psychology in ads as well. You're marketing to people, so you have to play on that psychology, and that's where the ad copy comes in. So your ad copy needs to call out who your target audience is, what it is that their problem that you're looking to solve, and what it is that you're exchanging information for. That could be a list of homes, that could be a specific type of property, that could be, price drops that are not available online. So something that they can't get their hands on that they're going to willingly give their information to you for in exchange. And that actually brings me to mistake number 4, which is not refreshing your ad creatives. Now, this is a mistake that single-handedly probably costs the most amount of money, because people oftentimes will run a ad that they think is performing well and they'll just let it be. And what happens is after a while, maybe you've got this ad that's you call a winner, that's creating leads at say $3, $4, $5, even $7, depending on the market that you're in. And you think, great, why change something that's working so well? Well, the problem is a thing called ad fatigue. What ad fatigue is that when you're working with a specific narrow audience, for example, in real estate, we can only, the narrowest we can go is 15 miles. And so you can't get any narrower than that. In a 15-mile radius, you may have 20 to 30,000 people. What happens is when those 20 to 30,000 people have already seen your ads, it keeps showing it to the same people over and over again based on what Meta feels is the right audience, and they keep seeing it over and over again, and then they're not clicking on your ad, they're not converting, and that creeps up your cost per lead. So pretty soon your $6 per lead ad is now converting at $10 or $11 per lead, and you're wondering what's happening. Well, ad fatigue is happening. You need to refresh your creatives. I'm going to show you a metric that I just touched on, and it's called frequency. See, this is a prime example of an ad campaign that I'm running, and that frequency now is sitting at 3. And this is available right in the Meta Ads Manager. This column, it'll show you where the frequency is at. As soon as a frequency hits 3, that's a good sign to take action and then refresh your creatives to new ones, because people have continually seen this ad and they're not taking action. And that's a simple exchange of creative is enough. You don't have to necessarily change your ad copy. Just change your ad creative every 2 to 3 weeks, or when you're keeping an eye on this frequency and it's hitting around that 3 mark. If it's hit 4 or 5, you definitely need to stop and then refresh. You don't necessarily have to restart a new campaign or a new ad set. Just swap out your creatives and you should be good to go. All right, and now finally mistake number 5, and that is not following up with leads immediately. This is the single biggest problem that regardless of industry most people make, and that is not following up with leads fast enough. Speed to lead regardless of industry is key, and it's also true in real estate. If you're not following up with your leads within the first 5 minutes, you are leaving an enormous amount of money and conversions on the table. Studies have shown repeatedly across industries that if you don't contact your lead within the first 5 minutes, your chances of conversions go down by 500%. Contact your leads, have some kind of mechanism in place, whether it's texting or email or even Facebook's native messenger, and they now have an SMS service that you can leverage that reaches out to the prospect. You can at least engage and start a conversation, start with a hook or something saying, hey, first name, I saw that you registered for so-and-so. Is this still the best email to send you the information to? Or, if you really want to create some curiosity, you can even start with something like, hi, is this blank, which is their first name, right? Some kind of hook, some kind of curiosity trigger that's going to want to have them respond. Or if you're offering something like a list or a guide, then send it to them immediately and have a follow-up in place that follows up and says and ask them what they thought about it. Nowadays, you've got AI texting, AI dialers that can actually call leads and set appointments for you, or you have ISAs that you've hired, or maybe you have team members that call. Whatever it is, have something in place that actually reaches out to the leads immediately. Because if you're not doing that, you are putting a lot of money on the table. All right, so those were the 5 most common mistakes I see most agents make when it comes to real estate. There's obviously a lot more that we just don't have time to cover today, like A/B testing. There's lookalike audiences, retargeting. There's a lot of other things that we can do that are a lot more advanced. These are the ones that, in my opinion, are the most important and the most common that people make. So always remember to use instant lead forms. Don't drive traffic to your website. Focus on creative and not the audience. Always refresh your creatives and follow up real quickly. This is exactly one of the reasons why I built the software AdFlow, which basically does it all for real estate agents. Everything from the creative studio that has AI generated images and videos based on your market. It researches the market, finds out exactly what's working in those areas, and then creatives that are meant to convert with clear overlays, call to actions, including copy like the headline, description, and primary text. You can create your lead forms right within it by connecting your Meta account, and everything here syncs directly to your Facebook ads account. You can see all your leads and activity right over here. You can create quick campaigns and custom campaigns, whichever one you like. Quick campaigns takes about 20 seconds to create, so you don't have to deal with Meta's clunky ads manager, which I know I get frustrated by and most agents get very afraid to, which is why they hire agencies in the first place. This is why AdFlow works really well for agents, because it kind of does it all at the click of a button, and it takes you about less than 2 minutes end to end to run ads, including the analytics tab that shows you exactly how your ads are performing. So if you look at mine, I've got ads right now converting as low as $2 per lead. I've got some around $3.95. They're all under $6. And the best part about AdFlow is that it actually has an AI optimizer that keeps an eye on your ads just like an agency would. Checks your 7, 14, and 30-day windows. It checks your week-over-week cost per lead trend analysis. It checks frequency acceleration scoring, so how fast you're reaching the frequency levels, and to tell you and warn you about it. It checks the creative fatigue detection. It does budget utilization and pacing data, and also ad level creative performance if you're running A/B tests. And the best part is, when it does track these things, it'll tell you exactly what to do next. So here in this case, it's telling me to pause the campaign because my cost per lead has spiked close to 50% week over week from 433 to 640, and it's now 24.8% above the 30-day baseline. So I can go ahead and pause the campaign right from the app. I can also do things like increase my budget because it's seeing that this is a winning ad and it's performing really well, and it's telling me to increase the budget so that I can get better leads, more leads. And then it's telling me other things like pausing underperforming ads, stopping campaigns. So AdFlow does everything that an agency does at the fraction of a cost. Now, we do have a 7-day free trial for this, no credit card required. So I highly suggest you guys go and give this a shot and test it out for yourself to see how well your ads perform. I guarantee you it's going to perform way better than what you've got going on right now. And lastly, if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I talk all about real estate, AI, and lead conversion when it comes to real estate. And if you are somebody that runs your own ads or even uses an agency, then tell me the biggest mistake that you see other agents make or that you've made when it comes to running Facebook ads. Thank you all for watching. Take care.